Welcome to Hot Drama TV.
Liu Yuning set to appear on Jiangsu TV's Spring Festival Gala this new year. When the New Year's lights rise, Liu Yuning and a stage that means more than music. At 7:30 p.m. on January 29, 2025, millions of television screens across China will glow at the same time. Families will be gathered. Fireworks will echo in the distance. Plates of unfinished food will sit on tables as attention quietly shifts toward one thing: the Spring Festival Gala. And on that stage, under lights brighter than most performers ever experience, Liu Yuning will walk forward. But this moment is not just about a performance. It is about timing. It is about symbolism. And it is about a journey that has been quietly building toward this very night. A stage that carries the weight of a nation. The Spring Festival Gala is not an ordinary show. For Chinese audiences, it is a ritual, woven into memories of childhood, family reunions, and the emotional turning of the year. To appear here is to be seen not just as an artist, but as part of a shared national moment. Jiangsu Satellite TV's Spring Festival Gala, in particular, is known for blending tradition with modern artistry. It chooses its performers carefully. Being invited is a statement. This voice matters, this presence belongs. For Liu Yuning, stepping onto this stage is a quiet declaration of arrival. The year of the snake, more than a zodiac. 2025 is the year of the snake, a symbol rich with meaning. In Eastern culture, the snake is not loud or reckless. It represents wisdom gained through experience, inner strength rather than display, transformation that happens slowly, deliberately, and powerfully. This symbolism mirrors Liu Yuning's own path. His rise was not sudden. It was not built on noise. It was built on persistence, endurance, and a voice that carried emotion before it carried fame. To perform at the very opening of this year is almost poetic, an artist shaped by patience entering a year defined by quiet power. From voice to presence, many first knew Liu Yuning through his voice alone. Raw, emotional, unmistakable. But standing on the Spring Festival stage requires more than vocal ability. It requires presence, the kind that holds attention even in silence. That is what makes this appearance compelling. This is not just a singer delivering a song. This is a performer stepping into a cultural moment, carrying the expectations of a massive audience, while still speaking directly to those who followed him from the beginning. A message hidden in celebration. The announcement surrounding this performance is filled with celebratory phrases. Accumulating blessings. Welcoming the new year with new strength. Happy New Year 2025. On the surface, they sound like familiar holiday wishes. But beneath them is a subtle message, to fans and perhaps to the artist himself. This is not an ending. This is a renewal. A reminder that every new year offers not just hope, but responsibility. To grow stronger, wiser, and more grounded than before. Why fans feel this moment so deeply? The final words shared, simple and affectionate. Love you. Shift everything. Suddenly, this is no longer a formal announcement. It becomes personal. It reflects the unique bond between Liu Yuning and his audience. One built not on distance, but on emotional honesty. Fans do not just watch his performances, they walk alongside his journey. This appearance feels like a shared victory. When the lights finally fade, when the song ends and applause fills the studio, the night will move on. Another act will follow. Another year will begin. But for many watching, this moment will linger. Because some performances are not remembered for their choreography or staging, but for what they represent. A turning point, a confirmation, a quiet promise of what's still to come. As the year of the snake begins, Liu Yuning does not simply step onto a stage. He steps into a new chapter. And the world is watching. What the audience doesn't see when the camera turns on. When the camera finally focuses on Liu Yuning, what the audience sees is confidence. A calm expression. A man standing exactly where he is meant to be. What they don't see is the weight of the years behind that moment. Every major stage hides a history of uncertainty. Nights when the future felt unclear, moments when effort seemed invisible, times when belief had to come from within before it came from the world outside. The Spring Festival Gala does not show that story, but it contains it. That is why this appearance matters. Because standing on this stage is not proof of overnight success. It is proof of survival. Performance meant to be felt, not just heard. Spring Festival performances are often grand, filled with spectacle and celebration. But Liu Yuning's strength has never been excess. It has always been emotion. When he sings, he does not rush. He lets the silence breathe. He allows feeling to reach the audience before the note fully lands. On a night when noise is everywhere, fireworks, laughter, countdowns, this kind of restraint becomes powerful. It creates contrast. It invites the listener to pause. And in that pause, something personal happens. The quiet power of recognition. For an artist, recognition does not always arrive loudly. Sometimes it arrives in the form of trust. Being chosen for the Spring Festival Gala means the industry believes in your ability to represent a moment that belongs to everyone. It means your image, your voice, and your values are considered steady enough to stand at the center of a cultural celebration. This is not just a reward. It is responsibility. And Liu Yuning carries it in the way he always has, without exaggeration, without forcing the spotlight to bend toward him. A new year, a new strength. Welcoming the new year with new strength. This phrase appears simple, almost ceremonial. Yet for those who have followed his journey, it feels deeply earned. Strength does not always mean being louder. Sometimes it means staying when leaving would be easier. Sometimes it means continuing when applause has not yet arrived. As the year of the snake begins, this strength feels refined, sharpened by experience, guided by patience. Why this moment will be remembered. Years from now, fans may look back and say, this was one of those turning points. Not because everything changed overnight, but because everything aligned. The timing, the stage, the symbolism, the artist. Some moments don't announce themselves as milestones. They simply pass, and only later do we realize how much they mattered. When the night ends, the story continues. When January 29th fades into January 30th, when the decorations come down and daily life resumes, Liu Yuning's journey will continue beyond this stage. But something will be different. Because once you stand under those lights, once your voice becomes part of a nation's celebration, you do not walk away unchanged. You carry that night forward with you and with everyone who watched. And as a new year begins, so does a deeper chapter of a story still being written. The moment between applause and silence. There is always a moment that cameras rarely linger on. The song has ended. Applause fills the space. Lights soften. And then, just for a second, everything is quiet. It is in that brief pause between applause and silence that an artist often feels the weight of what has just happened. Not as a performance, but as a memory being formed. For Liu Yuning, that pause carries years. Years of standing behind microphones before stages appeared. Years of singing not to be famous, but simply to be heard. Years of believing that sincerity still had a place in a fast, noisy world. Why this night feels personal. The Spring Festival is about reunion, about coming home. That is why this performance feels intimate, even when watched by millions. It is not just Liu Yuning returning to a grand stage. It is Liu Yuning returning to the people who witnessed his growth, his struggles, his quiet resilience. For fans, seeing him here is like watching a familiar figure step into a long-deserved light. There is pride in that feeling. And there is tenderness. Fame without losing gravity. Many artists change when the spotlight grows stronger. Some begin to orbit around it. What makes this moment special is the sense that Liu Yuning remains grounded. He does not perform as someone chasing approval. He performs as someone who understands the cost of being seen and still chooses sincerity. That gravity, that emotional weight, is what gives his presence meaning beyond entertainment. A new chapter that doesn't erase the past. The beginning of a new year often suggests reinvention. But not all growth requires forgetting where you came from. This chapter does not erase the earlier pages of Liu Yuning's story. It builds on them. The uncertainty, the patience, the long stretches without guarantee. All of it stands quietly behind him as he faces the audience. And that history gives depth to every note he sings. What remains after the broadcast ends? When the broadcast ends, the stage will be dismantled. The decorations will be stored away. The celebration will become memory. But what remains is something less visible. A sense of alignment. A feeling that effort and timing have finally met. A quiet understanding that this journey is far from over. An ending that is really a beginning. As the year of the snake unfolds, it invites reflection rather than noise, strength rather than haste, depth rather than display. Liu Yuning's presence on this stage feels like an answer to that invitation. Not loud, not rushed, but certain. And as the new year opens its first page, his story continues, steady, evolving, and still unfolding under the watchful eyes of those who believe in him.